Hello everyone, and welcome back to our English learning journey. Today, we are going to learn English through an interesting and relatable story called My First Day of College. This story is perfect for English learners who want to improve their listening, vocabulary, pronunciation, and speaking skills. In this story, we will follow a student experiencing the excitement and nervousness of starting college for the first time. We will learn useful English expressions related to college, classrooms, teachers, friends, studies, introductions, and daily conversations. As you listen, pay attention to the simple sentences and try to understand the story naturally. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. Listen carefully, repeat the sentences aloud, and practice the new vocabulary after the story. Remember, learning English takes time and regular practice. You don't need to speak perfectly from the beginning. Just keep listening, speaking, and learning every day. So sit comfortably, get ready to learn, and enjoy this beautiful English learning story. Let's learn English together, one story at a time. Now, let's begin my first day of college. It was a bright Monday morning. I woke up early. Today was a very special day. It was my first day of college. I had been waiting for this day for a long time. I felt excited. I also felt a little nervous. Everything was going to be new. The college was in a different part of the city. I had never studied there before. I looked at the clock. It was 6 o'clock. I quickly got out of bed. I opened the window. Fresh morning air entered my room. I smiled. I said, "Today is a new beginning." I went to the bathroom. I brushed my teeth. I washed my face. Then I took a shower. I put on my new clothes. I checked myself in the mirror. I looked neat and ready. I picked up my college bag. I checked everything inside. I had my books. I had my notebooks. I had some pens. I had my water bottle. I also had my college documents. I checked everything twice. I did not want to forget anything. Then I went downstairs. My mother was preparing breakfast. She looked at me and smiled. She said, "Good morning." I said, "Good morning, Mom." She asked, "Are you ready for college?" I said, "Yes, I think I am." She asked, "Are you nervous?" I smiled and said, "A little." She said, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." Her words made me feel better. I sat down for breakfast. My father joined us. He asked, "What time does your class start?" I told him the time. He said, "Then you should leave soon." I finished my breakfast. I drank a glass of water. Then I picked up my bag. My parents wished me good luck. I thanked them. I left home. My father took me to college. We traveled by car. I looked out of the window. The streets were busy. Many students were traveling to college. Some students were walking. Some were riding bicycles. Some were traveling by bus. I wondered who would be in my class. I wondered if I would make new friends. After some time, we reached the college. I looked at the college building. It was large and beautiful. There were many trees around it. Students were walking through the main gate. Some students were talking. Some were laughing. Some were checking their schedules. I took a deep breath. My father said, "Have confidence." I smiled. I got out of the car. I said goodbye to my father. Then I walked toward the main gate. I entered the college campus. Everything looked new. I saw a large building in front of me. There was a notice board nearby. Many students were standing around it. I walked closer. I looked for my name. I found my class information. My classroom was on the second floor. I followed the signs. I walked through a long hallway. Students were going in different directions. I felt a little confused. I stopped near a student. I asked, "Excuse me, can you help me?" The student smiled. He said, "Sure." I asked, "Where is room 204? He pointed down the hallway. He said, "It is the second room on the left." I thanked him. I continued walking. Soon I found room 204. I stood outside for a moment. I took a deep breath. Then I entered the classroom. There were already many students inside. Some students were sitting together. Some were talking. Some were looking at their phones. I looked for an empty seat. I found one near the window. I walked toward it. I put my bag on the desk. Then I sat down. A student sitting nearby smiled at me. He said, "Hi." I said, "Hi." He asked, "Are you new here?" I said, "Yes, today is my first day." He smiled and said, "Mine too." I felt relieved. We started talking. His name was Ryan. I told him my name. He asked where I was from. I answered his question. Then I asked him the same question. We discovered that we had similar interests. We both liked reading. We both liked sports. We both enjoyed learning new things. Soon, another student joined us. Her name was Emma. She said, "Hello." We greeted her. She asked, "Is this your first day too?" We said, "Yes." She smiled. She said, "I was nervous this morning." I said, "Me too." We all laughed. We started feeling more comfortable. Suddenly, the teacher entered the classroom. Everyone became quiet. The teacher smiled. She said, "Good morning, everyone." We all replied, "Good morning." She introduced herself. Then she asked us to introduce ourselves. One by one, students stood up. They said their names. They talked about their interests. Some students spoke confidently. Some students were nervous. Then it was my turn. I stood up. My heart was beating fast. I took a deep breath. I said, "Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. Today is my first day of college. I am happy to be here. I hope to learn many new things. I also hope to make new friends." Everyone smiled. I sat down. I felt much better. The teacher said, "Very good." I felt proud. The first class began. The teacher explained the course. She talked about the subjects. She explained the class schedule. She also explained the rules. I listened carefully. I wrote important information in my notebook. The lesson was interesting. I enjoyed it. During the class, I asked a simple question. The teacher answered it kindly. I felt comfortable asking questions. I realized that college was a place to learn. After the first class, we had a short break. Ryan asked, "Do you want to see the campus?" I said, "Yes, of course." Emma joined us. We walked outside the classroom. Ryan showed us the library. The library was large. There were many books. Students were reading quietly. I loved the peaceful atmosphere. I said, "I think I will spend a lot of time here." Ryan laughed. He said, "Me too." Then we visited the college cafeteria. It was crowded. Many students were eating. We found an empty table. We sat down. We talked about our classes. We talked about our teachers. We talked about our hobbies. We laughed about our nervous morning. Emma said, "I was afraid I would get lost." I said, "I almost got lost too." Ryan laughed. He said, "At least we found our classroom." We all laughed again. After lunch, we went back to class. The afternoon class started. The teacher gave us a small activity. We had to work in groups. I worked with Ryan and Emma. We discussed the activity. Everyone shared ideas. I enjoyed working with them. We completed the activity. The teacher appreciated our work. I felt happy. I realized that college was not only about studying. It was also about communication. It was about teamwork. It was about meeting new people. It was about learning from others. The afternoon passed quickly. Soon the final class ended. The teacher gave us some homework. I wrote it down carefully. The final bell rang. Everyone started packing their bags. I put my books inside my bag. Ryan asked, "Are you going home now?" I said, "Yes." Emma said, "See you tomorrow." I said, "See you tomorrow." Ryan also said goodbye. We walked toward the main gate together. The campus was still busy. Students were leaving. Some were talking with friends. Some were waiting for buses. Some were walking toward the parking area. I looked around one more time. I felt happy. My first day had gone well. I walked outside the gate. My father was waiting for me. He smiled when he saw me. He asked, "How was your first day?" I said, "It was wonderful." He asked, "Did you make any friends?" I said, "Yes." I told him about Ryan and Emma. He was happy for me. We got into the car. On the way home, I talked about my day. I told him about my teacher. I told him about my classes. I told him about the library. I told him about the cafeteria. I told him about my new friends. My father listened carefully. He said, "It sounds like you had a great day." I said, "Yes, I did." When I reached home, my mother was waiting. She asked, "How was college?" I smiled. I said, "It was amazing." She asked, "Were you nervous?" I said, "At first, yes, but I became comfortable later." She smiled. She said, "I knew you could do it." I went to my room. I changed my clothes. Then I opened my college bag. I took out my books. I looked at my notebooks. I thought about the day. I remembered the morning. I remembered how nervous I had felt. I remembered meeting Ryan. I remembered meeting Emma. I remembered introducing myself. I remembered my first class. I remembered the library. I remembered the cafeteria. I remembered our group activity. I realized that the day had taught me many things. I learned that new beginnings can be difficult. I learned that nervousness is normal. I learned that talking to people can make things easier. I learned that asking questions is important. I learned that confidence grows with practice. I also learned that college is a new chapter of life. There will be new subjects. There will be new challenges. There will be new friendships. There will be new opportunities. I wanted to make the most of them. In the evening, I completed my homework. Then I prepared my bag for the next day. I checked my timetable. I arranged my books. I prepared my clothes. Everything was ready. Before going to bed, I opened my notebook. I wrote about my first day. I wrote, "Today was my first day of college." I felt nervous in the morning, but I became confident later. I met 2 new friends. I learned many new things. My teacher was kind. The college library was beautiful. I enjoyed my first day. I read my sentences aloud. I smiled. I felt proud of myself. I understood that every new beginning starts with a small step. Sometimes we feel afraid because we do not know what will happen, but we should not let fear stop us. We should take a deep breath. We should stay positive. We should ask for help when we need it. We should be friendly. We should listen carefully. We should keep learning. My first day of college taught me all these lessons. It was not perfect. I made a few small mistakes. I got confused once. I felt nervous several times. But that was okay. I was learning. I was growing. I was becoming more confident. I knew that tomorrow would be another opportunity. I would meet my friends again. I would attend new classes. I would learn new subjects. I would discover new places. I would have new experiences. I was excited about my college journey. I turned off the light. I went to bed. I thought about my first day one last time. I smiled. It had started with nervousness. It had ended with happiness. It had started with uncertainty. It had ended with confidence. It had started with strangers. It had ended with new friendships. I realized that a new beginning can become a beautiful memory. The next morning, I woke up early again. This time, I was not nervous. I was excited to go to college. I got ready quickly. I had breakfast with my family. I picked up my college bag. I said goodbye to my parents. Then, I left home. When I reached college, I saw Ryan. He waved at me. I waved back. Emma was standing nearby. She smiled at me. I walked toward them. We greeted each other. We walked into the college together. The campus no longer felt strange. It already felt familiar. I knew where my classroom was. I knew where the library was. I knew where the cafeteria was. I knew where to find my friends. I smiled and realized how quickly things could change. Yesterday, I was a nervous new student. Today, I felt like I belonged. I understood that confidence comes from experience. Every new day gives us another chance to learn. Every new person gives us a chance to make a friend. Every challenge gives us a chance to become stronger. Every mistake gives us a chance to improve. My first day of college was the beginning of a new journey. It was a journey of learning. It was a journey of friendship. It was a journey of personal growth. I knew there would be difficult days. I also knew there would be wonderful days. I was ready for both. I promised myself to work hard. I promised myself to stay positive. I promised myself to enjoy the journey. I promised myself to never stop learning. And with a smile on my face, I began my new college life. My first day was over, but my college journey had just begun.